Good evening, Norcal Karters. Tonight is Monday, and we normally do our weekly updates and racing events and all that fun stuff coming up. But hey, we're on lockdown, and we're getting a lot closer to track starting to opening up, so that's going to be good for a lot of us. And tonight we have Gary Carlton with GFC Karting. Gary, say hello.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for having me on, Jason.
No problem. Thank you. I always like catching up with you. I mean, you and I go so far back, but it seems like every time I talk to you, I just learn something about you that I didn't know. And yeah, I mean, what better way to kind of talk to people? And if you want to chime in or have a question for Gary, you can go to our app, or you can go to norcalkarters.com and you could type away a question and we'll ask Gary live. But we're going to break this up into, between 4 and 5 episodes. And Gary, you're just going to take us through your karting life. I mean, I'm actually really looking forward to this. Just as we were talking a few moments ago, there's just things I forgot you did. I mean, you've been around for what, 24, 25 years?
Yeah, I started karting when I was 9 years old. 34 now, I think. I was born in 86, so yeah. 24 years, or 25 years. And then actually, before the karting, when I was 6 to 8, so this was 3 years, I started racing in quarter midgets, of all things. And I don't know exactly how it all started, and obviously it started with my dad. Anyone that knows me, I started with my dad, just like everybody else. You start with your parents normally, and it was mom and dad that were taking me to the racetrack. I don't honestly know how I got in it or where my interest was of racing. I know my dad, and obviously my parents never had a racing background. My dad was always into motorcycles and sprint cars, so I'm wondering, I want to say he saw a quarter midget at the Autorama in Sacramento, in the Cal Expo in Sacramento, and probably thought it was cool. And I don't know if I went there with him, or I don't know exactly. I mean, unfortunately, my father's not around anymore to ask, because I'm sure he would have known. But I can ask my mom one of these days, because I honestly don't know the exact story. But long story short, I started in the quarter midgets. It was very family oriented. Race team, obviously, when you're that young, and my mom would go, I think, help with the snack bar, and my dad was obviously a mechanic on my car, and I think he did a lot of help with the club, because it was a dirt track that I first started with, and he would go and prep the track, the days before the races, probably to get a free membership or something. I'm not quite sure, but to be honest, I don't really remember that much of the quarter midget stuff. I remember at Prairie City, there was a quarter midget track on the edge of the go-kart track, and I guess my first memories of go-karts were watching the go-karts across the street from the quarter midgets and thinking, like, that looks cool. I think that's really cool. And then we actually went to Davis. My dad took me to Davis once to see a go-kart race. And if anyone knows Davis, and back in the day, came around the last corner coming onto that straightaway, and they've really taken that hump out. But I'm sure you remember, Jason, and all the OG NorCal cars. I mean, there used to be that hump, and the cars actually get light, and you kind of go through the air, and the engine would kind of spool up a little bit. And I remember watching, I would think there were 80 shifters at that time, rip around there, and you were able to get right close to the fence, the pit pass and stuff, and watching those things rip by you coming out of that last corner over that hump, and kind of get a little bit of air, and it was just like, whoa, this is cool. This is what I want to do. And so my dad, he sold all the quarter midget stuff, and we went to Emick over on Power Inn Road, I think it is, over there in Rancho Cordova, which is about, where we used to live from our house, probably only like 20, 30 minutes. So went over there, got ourselves an Emick Cadet with a Comer 80 on it, and I realized, because I guess I was kind of a hot shoe in the quarter midget deal, and naturally you think you're going to go to a go-kart and be good at it. And went to our first race at Dixon. I don't know how much I practiced before that, but I remember I went to Dixon for my first race, and I got lapped twice.
Wait, that's not the beginning of a superstar's career.
Yeah, I was terrible. I remember vividly my dad telling me, and I have some vague memories when I was little, and I guess I don't know why, but maybe the memories have kind of gotten lost. I've had a few people come, remember this race, that race when we were younger, and I'm like, not really, but I do remember vividly my dad after the race coming, getting out of the cart and stuff, and I should probably arrived, to the scales like third or fourth, but that was because the leaders, the top two leaders, had lapped me for the second time, and
yeah.
Yeah, so I got to the scales third or fourth, and my dad's like, you did a really good job getting out of the leader's way. You didn't ruin the race, so that was good. Like, good job. You didn't. You were. Yeah, I guess he was entailing. I was conscious of the flags and conscious of what was going on, and I think I remember pointing them by. And it was probably my dad telling me, knowing I was going to get lapped in the race, and telling me like, dude, like, let's not be the first race and get a black X. Or, well, we already had the black X on us, but like, and even the black mark of like, this kid's a weapon. He ruins races. That mark. But yeah, it was. But I remember my dad even asking me after the first couple of races. Obviously, it wasn't like the second race. I was way better. I was bad a lot. And I remember even talking recently to Scott Speed, and he's like, "Dude, I remember how bad you were. I remember how bad you and Alex were. You guys had to work so hard to get good, And then I'm looking at him, and we're having this conversation. I'm like, "Yeah, you butt in, like you were so good, like right away. I mean, it wasn't fair." He's like, "Yeah, I know you're a natural talent and all this stuff, but yeah, I mean, I was bad." But and then I remember my dad asking me, like, "Dude, like, you sure you want to do this?" And I guess, I mean, I don't remember saying yes, but I remember constantly wanting to go back out to the track because I liked it, and I remember, having a passion for motorsports, in my younger years in the quarter midgets, but that, those cadet years, I really like that's all I could think about. I remember even coming home from track days and stuff, and wanting to take apart my go-kart. I was like always interested, cleaning it. I remember even my dad gave me some wax and like waxing the frame because I wanted it to be super shiny, and because that's what my dad did to his motorcycles. He was always waxing, cleaning. He had an old car, and that's what he's always doing. So like, that's my go-kart. I want my go-kart clean, So I was always doing stuff like that, and I remember, getting to go to Emick was like, that was the coolest thing, right? Go hang out with the boys, go hang out with the Joey Hands, and I remember Vince and Buck and Josh Garwood and probably David Sands and Les Hand. All those guys those are the cool guys. Ron Emick and Linda, you all look up to those guys, and you want to be the cool guy because everyone was working down there, so you want to work. I wanted to work down there too, and 10-year-old kid. I mean, what can you really work on? So they had me sweeping floors, and I remember one of the jobs they would give me a bunch of axle bearings. I'd sit there and take all the axle set screws out, just stupid little things like that, they'd have me do. And I was probably a nuisance, once I'd finish one job, they'd probably hoping for me to, that'd give me something to do all day, but I'd probably do it. And within an hour or something, like, "Hey, what's next? What's next?" And they're probably, "God, this kid's annoying," But, yeah, my dad, I remember in the summertime, my dad would just drop me off at the beginning of the day. And when, he was done working at his company, he'd come pick me up. And, those were my summers, like working in Emick. And I just thought that was the coolest thing, and, luckily, for my own sake, I started picking it up. And Joey Hand and Ron Emick, they were always there to give me pointers and kind of guide me along the way. And I mean, it wasn't long. I don't know the time period of, when I started going, but getting good. But I do remember my first race win at Altamont, and that was a big deal. And I just kind of remember it snowballing like into the thing of where Emic was even giving us carts to try, and deals on carts, and they came out with a new prototype cadet once, and I remember I was the kid to try it, and we started I started getting my feet wet in development work and stuff like that, and naturally as the cadet started winning the IKF champion. I won a couple regional 11 championships in the IKF, and I think it was like the Tri-County.
Tri-County.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Tri-County, yeah. I remember doing those. I think I won a couple of those. And then, naturally you get older, so you move to juniors. And then I remember we moved up to juniors, still with the IMIC, and they were helping us out still then. And the bigger carts, we kind of struggled. I remember, like, I won the regional races, and I think, I guess going back to the cadet, the only IKF Grand Nationals I ever did was in the cadet class, and it was at Marshalltown, Iowa. And I think in Rookie Sportsman, I got second, which I was pretty stoked on, and Comer, I think I was fourth.
Okay.
So, I mean, that was cool, my first ever national, and first and only ever IKF national, and got in the top 5 in both, and got trophies, and, it was cool, big deal for us. And then, I think that might have been my last year in cadet. I can't remember the actual chain of events, but then, went into juniors, and on the MX stuff, we did good locally, but we kind of struggled in when we go maybe down to SoCal with the secure tires, and so that was kind of a trying period. I don't remember how many seasons I did in the junior ranks with EMIC and like sportsman categories and whatnot, and then we kind of, I don't know what the change or what promoted the change or why we changed, but we got hooked up with Scott Jeffries and Scott and Kurt Jeffries at KLS Racing on the NBA chassis, and that's where I met you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I met you. That's where I met, the Danny Stewart. I mean, who was working there with Mike Drogier, Danny Stewart. Who else? I mean, we had AJ working or driving for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, Speed spent some time there. AJ Allmendinger spent some time there.
Yeah, Speed.
Brett Buckwalter.
Yeah, I think Speed came after. Speed, or maybe before. I can't remember.
I want to say he came after.
Yeah, I think I was at KLS before Speed was.
Yeah, I think you were.
And honestly, I think that'll be another, kind of later in the story. But yeah, Speed came after I left KLS. If I'm not mistaken. No, I was with Speed during the same time. I was with Speed during the same time, I think.
Yeah, because there was a couple of years. I mean, KLS was a powerhouse for a couple of years.
Yeah, no, that was a huge team.
I mean, we had you, we had Scott, we had Alex, we had AJ Allmendinger. I mean, it was all in different classes, but
yeah.
I mean, I started stout.
I started with KLS still in the junior Superbox or junior HPV days, before the shifter cart stuff started getting really big, I guess, and then I started dabbling in the junior 80s, and my first Pro Tour race was at Reno, the Reno Pro Tour. I guess we need the living karting encyclopedia Rob Howden to tell us what year that was. But that it had to have been in the 90s, right? 98, 99?
I'm thinking it was 99, but I'm thinking 99. I don't think it was 2000.
Yeah, well, because you know what, I'm getting mixed up, because Scott Speed and Alex Speed, they were on NBA, but they were kind of like that shift sport with Paul Zalud / KLS, right? It was kind of like
Paul Zalud was a dealer of KLS, and then they transitioned to Paul Zalud's team after being with KLS. Yep.
I can't really.
I think that was the order.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we're going back so far.
Yeah.